Welcome to the Touch Art channel. Today we're going to meet one of the founders of American realist art. His paintings demonstrate the unique beauty of everyday life and reveal the real life of American society in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Somewhere at the turn of the century, when the streets of New York looked like a stage with a continuous flow of human life, an artist emerged who could see poetry in the simplest moments. French Sloane is a master of realistic painting who is known as one of the founders of the Ashcan School, a movement that turned art to face the real world. His paintings were a sincere, unadorned reflection of everyday life, as seen through the dusty window of his Chelsea studio. The Ashcan School, to which Sloane belonged, brought together a group of artists who sought to show the true pulse of the big city. This movement was not fond of idealized landscapes or luxurious portraits, but sought beauty in the ordinary: workers, vendors, children playing in the dirt. Sloane's paintings, like those of the other members of the Eight, spoke the language of the present, reminding viewers of how people live around them. His works were full of life, but they did not oppose the system, as was often expected from an artist close to socialist ideas. Rather, Sloane captured moments of joy that slipped through even in difficult conditions. It was not just a chronicle of the streets, but a real symphony of colors, shapes, and emotions. His style is a combination of observation and attention to detail that allows us today to see the New York of the early 20th century through the eyes of a man who loved his city and the people in it. Sloane left an indelible mark on the history of American art, showing that art can be both simple and profound, intimate and large-scale. His paintings are windows into the past that still tell stories that have not lost their relevance. I thank everyone who watches the video and invite you to subscribe to the channel and join our community. French Sloane was born on August 2, 1871, in Lock Haven, Pennsylvania, into a family that honored art and education in its own way. His father, James Dixon Sloane, had artistic inclinations, although he was unable to turn them into a stable income. The family had a spirit of creativity that was fueled by stories and his father's passion for art. John's mother, Henrietta Ireland Sloane, was a teacher who instilled in her children a love of learning and always encouraged them to draw. In a family where financial instability was commonplace, John found refuge in the world of imagination and paper. At an early age, he was interested in anything that could be created with his hands. His childhood curiosity turned into a serious hobby when Sloane entered Philadelphia's Central High School. It was there, among such future famous personalities as William Gluckins and Albert Barnes, that he began to discover the world of art. Despite the difficult circumstances in his family, John persevered in improving his skills. His ability to draw attracted the attention of teachers and classmates. Here, in the school corridors and classrooms, the foundations of his style were formed, which would later surprise the world with its depth and sincerity. John already felt that art would be his calling, even if the path to it was not easy. Young John Sloane began his career far from art studios. After his father's sudden illness forced him to quit his job, John became the family breadwinner at the age of 16. He got a job as a cashier at the Porter and Coates bookstore in Philadelphia, and it was there that his introduction to art unfolded. Surrounded by bookshelves and printed graphic works, he began to create his first prints and copies of works by Dürer and Rembrandt. When visitors to the store bought his miniature prints, Sloane experienced his first taste of creative recognition. His path in art received a new impetus when he met Robert Henry, a talented artist and teacher who had a charismatic ability to inspire. Henry became not just a mentor, but a real guide in the art world. It was thanks to him that Sloane began to experiment more with painting, studying the works of European masters such as Edouard Manet, Franz Hals, and Diego Velázquez. Henry not only encouraged Sloane's creativity, but also shared his ideas about freedom in art, which became the foundation for the future Ashcan School. In 1893, Henry and Sloane co-founded the Charcoal Club, a place to discuss ideas, experiment creatively, and create a new type of American art. The club members, including William Gluckins, George Lax and Everett Shinn, sought ways to reflect real life in art, rejecting traditional academia, under Henry Sloane's guidance. He plunged into painting, creating his first canvases that already demonstrated his unique ability to find beauty in everyday life. Each copy of the old masters, each hour spent experimenting with composition and color, brought John closer to his artistic voice, which he would soon develop into the vibrant style that would become his trademark. In 1904, John French Sloane left Philadelphia and moved to New York City, the city that became his main muse. He settled in Greenwich Village, among the narrow streets and chaotic city life. It was an environment that inspired him to create paintings that later became icons of American realist art. Through his window, he watched people hurrying, working, or relaxing, and captured these moments on canvas. It was during this period that such well-known works as McSorley's Bar and 6th Avenue Elevated at 3rd Street appeared, depicting the atmosphere of big city life with its energy, cramped bar rooms and nighttime street scenes. New York opened up new opportunities for Sloane not only in art but also in social activism. In 1910, he joined the Socialist Party, where he shared the ideas of fighting for justice and equality. John not only supported these ideas in words, but also used art as a tool. As art editor of the socialist magazine The Masses, he created powerful illustrations that criticized the war and the capitalist system. At the same time, Sloane remained true to his artistic philosophy. His works were not straightforward propaganda, but rather showed compassion for people, depicting their joys and challenges of everyday life. The year 1908 became a defining year for Sloane as part of the group The Eight. They organized an exhibition at the Macbeth Galleries that became a manifesto for new American art. This exhibition challenged the conservative norms of the National Academy of Design by offering bold realistic depictions of urban life and the working class. The paintings presented at the exhibition forced the American art community to reconsider its views on the content and form of contemporary art. Sloane became an artist who not only captured reality but also changed its perception. The New York period of his work went down in history as the heyday of American realism, where everyday scenes of city life turned into picturesque symphonies. His works still remind us that there is always room for beauty, humanity, and reflection in the whirlwind of a big city. In 1913, the Armory Show exhibition was a kind of discovery of a new world for John French Sloane. The modernist works presented at this legendary exposition made him reconsider his own approaches to art. Although Sloane remained faithful to realistic foundations, the influence of European modernists such as Van Gogh and Fauvism inspired him to add more freedom and color expression to his work. This new approach became especially evident in the landscapes that Sloane began to create during his summer trips to New Mexico. Fascinated by the desert vastness, vivid colors, and majestic nature, he found a new creative freedom here. His works of this period, such as the Santa Fe landscapes, are characterized by rich colors, dynamic brushstrokes, and the desire to convey not only the external beauty of the place, but also its emotional essence. These landscapes were a departure from the urban themes that dominated his early work, and at the same time the opening of a new horizon. In the 1920s, Sloane began experimenting with the techniques of the old masters, including underpainting and glazing. Inspired by the methods of the Renaissance artists, he returned to a more detailed and thorough approach to painting. Using thin layers of paint, Sloane achieved a depth of color and texture that gave his works a new aesthetic complexity. This is especially evident in his nudes, where he combined classical techniques with his own contemporary vision. Sloane's transition to a new style and methods was not just an artistic evolution, but a reflection of his inner search and desire to remain free from restrictions. He was constantly changing, remaining true to his main goal of finding beauty in the diversity of the world, whether it be in the bustling streets of New York, endless deserts, or in the details of the human body. Sloane proved that true art is a constant movement and an experiment that never ends. John French Sloane's personal life was full of love, challenges, and deep human relationships that left a lasting mark on his work. In 1898, he met Anna Maria Dolly Wall, a woman who immediately captivated him with her bright personality and frankness. They met under unusual circumstances. Sloan found her in a Philadelphia brothel. Dolly, despite her difficult life, worked as a department store clerk during the day and tried to change her life. Their marriage in 1901 became a union based on mutual support and faith in each other. Dolly became a source of inspiration for Sloan, although her alcoholism and mental instability repeatedly created crises in their lives. Nevertheless, she believed in his talent and supported him in everything, becoming his closest ally. Sloan even started keeping a diary, on the advice of his doctor, to express his warm feelings for Dolly through his entries and help her overcome her inner fears. This diary later became a valuable source for understanding his personality and life as an artist. After Dolly's death in 1943, Sloan's life took a new turn. In 1944, he married for the second time to Helen Farr, a former student who was 40 years younger than him. Helen not only became his companion, but also took on the important mission of preserving and popularizing his work. She was actively involved in the distribution of Sloan's work to museums, ensuring that his artistic legacy would be preserved for future generations. Sloan also found himself in teaching. Starting in 1914, he taught at the Art Students League in New York. His classes were known for their frankness and practicality. He emphasized that the real pleasure in art is not in fame or money, but in the process of creation. His students, including such future artists as Alexander Calder and Barnett Newman, respected him for his candor, deep knowledge, and unique vision of art. At the same time, Sloan was not afraid to criticize those who, in his opinion, put their careers before their creativity. French Sloane's life was full of love, dramatic twists and turns, and a sincere desire to find beauty even in the most difficult circumstances. His personal relationships and teaching reflect the same humanity and simplicity that he put into his paintings, leaving us with an invaluable lesson. True art begins with a love of the world. French Sloane left behind a legacy that continues to speak the language of emotion, humanity, and artistic excellence. His paintings have become a window into the life of early 20th century New York, reflecting the spirit of the era with unique depth and sincerity. Among his most famous works are Hairdresser's Window, 1907, which can be seen in the Wadsworth Athenaeum collection, and Wake of the Fairy, 1907, which is kept in the Phillips collection. These paintings are not just depictions of cityscapes or domestic scenes, but a living chronicle of an era filled with subtle humor and warm compassion. His work had a powerful influence on the next generations of artists. Among his students were such prominent artists as Barnett Newman, known for his abstract compositions, and Alexander Calder, the inventor of kinetic sculpture. They went on to embody the spirit of freedom that Sloan had instilled in his lessons and work. He not only taught them techniques, but also passed on an understanding of art as a tool for expressing one's own vision of the world. Sloan has often been called the American Hogarth for his ability to depict everyday life with humor and warmth. Similar to the British master of the 18th century, Sloan was able to find drama and comedy in the everyday, turning scenes from life into a real theater of human emotions. His works are both a document of time and an artistic masterpiece that speaks to the viewer beyond the boundaries of historical epochs. Thanks to his skill, Sloan not only enriched the art of his time, but also set a new standard for artists to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. His paintings are kept in major museums in the United States, including the Whitney Museum of American Art, the Brooklyn Museum, and the Philadelphia Museum of Art. His work continues to inspire, reminding us of the beauty and significance of every moment captured through the lens of artistic talent. French Sloane left behind not only paintings, but also a unique way of seeing the world that combined the everyday with deep human compassion. There is no pathos or idealization in his works, only the sincere beauty of simple moments: an evening in a bar, a crowd in the street, an ordinary day in New York. He showed that art can be close, understandable, and at the same time insightful, able to touch the deepest strings of the human soul. His contribution to 20th century American modern art is hard to overestimate. As one of the leaders of the Ashcan School, he and his colleagues opened a new direction where art addressed real life and social issues. Sloan created a bridge between traditional realism and new forms that gradually emerged under the influence of modernism. He changed the idea of what art could be, making it more accessible and emotionally fulfilling. Sloan's life was an example of unwavering commitment to creativity and social justice. His love for people, his ability to see beauty even in difficult circumstances, and his desire to make the world a better place were reflected in both his paintings and his activism. He proved that art should not be separated from life, it is an integral part of it, and today, his work reminds us of the importance of being attentive to simple things, seeing the miraculous in the ordinary, and appreciating human emotions. French Sloane is an artist who spoke the language of his time, but left a message for future generations: to create with love, compassion and faith in the beauty of the world around us.